Do you know that before Melania Trump, there were Ivana and Marla Maples? And you would never believe the reason why Donald Trump's marriage to beauty queen Marla Maples ended. As a matter of fact, Trump's marriage to Marla was so controversial and interesting that till date, whenever we remember Marla, we can't help but remember the shocking details. At the time when the separation happened, the rumors we heard were shocking. Finally, after 2 decades, Marla has confirmed what we thought all along. But what really happened between the two? And why did their marriage only last for 6 years? Keep watching to find out. Look back at their relationship. Do you know that Marla Maples entered Trump's life and began dating him even while he was still married to his first wife, Ivana Trump? The relationship between Marla, a Georgia-born actress, model, and television personality, and Trump began far back in the late 1980s, and it was nothing short of extremely controversial. It was not just controversial because Donald Trump was married, it was the fact that their relationship was not hidden. In fact, it was highly publicized, and this caught the attention of so many people. How could something so wrong be done openly? Well, this went on for over 4 years. They even broke up once and got back together till Trump ended up divorcing Ivana in 1990. On February 16, 1990, while Trump was still married to Ivana, a shocking headline appeared on the front page of the New York Post. The headline allegedly detailed Marla boasting to her friends about how the best intimate relations she ever had were with Trump. Of course, this threw the media into a frenzy, and it dominated the front pages of New York City's tabloids for weeks, despite the fact that at that same time, other groundbreaking things like the release of Nelson Mandela from prison and the bankruptcy of bankers Drexel Burnham Lambert had happened. As shocking as this sounds, this wasn't the worst. Something else equally jaw-dropping happened in December 1989 when Ivana and Marla Maples met each other for the first time. Apparently, Trump and his family were on a skiing holiday in Aspen, Colorado. However, at the same time, he had secretly arranged for Marla, his mistress, to be present in Aspen, and that was how Marla crossed paths with Ivana. In Ivana's book, Raising Trump, she explained in detail what happened that fateful day in Aspen. She said, "This young blonde woman approached me out of the blue and said, 'I'm Marla, and I love your husband.' 'Do you?' I said, 'Get lost. I love my husband.' It was unladylike, but I was in shock." Can you imagine how shocked and confused Ivana must have felt in the midst of this somewhat embarrassing situation? She explained that after meeting with Marla, she knew for sure that her marriage to Trump was over. And so, just like she predicted, in February 1990, about 2 months after that encounter, Trump officially filed for divorce from Ivana. Well, you would think that after Ivana was gone, Trump and Marla would live happily ever after together. But that was not the case because although they got married shortly after this, they separated just 4 years down the line and got divorced after 2 more years. Why, you might ask? Well, Marla has finally opened up about the shocking details. Reasons for Marla and Trump's separation. Marla Maples and Donald Trump tied the knot in December 1993, 3 years after Trump divorced Ivana. They threw a lavish ceremony at the Plaza Hotel in New York City, which Trump owned at the time. The event was attended by over 1,000 guests, including celebrities and influential figures from the business world. However, from the very beginning, the marriage was doomed. Although Marla has revealed that their marriage suffered from issues that were far beyond both their control, we've gathered evidence that points to the fact that both Marla and Trump played active roles in the destruction of their marriage. Let's break it down. The truth remains that so many people were actually surprised that Trump and Marla were actually getting married, especially after his messy divorce from Ivana, which ended with a pretty hefty settlement. Apparently, during Ivana and Trump's divorce proceedings, the Chicago Tribune reported that Trump had locked Ivana out of her office at the Plaza Hotel, and a legal battle immediately began over the legitimacy of the 4 prenuptial agreements they had successively negotiated over the years. Now, keep in mind that this divorce received worldwide publicity mostly because of the drama that had ensued between Trump, Ivana, and Marla. As a matter of fact, front-page coverage of the proceedings appeared in New York newspapers for 11 days in a row, and the story was even the subject of gossip columnist Liz Smith's entire news coverage for 3 months. At the end of the day, the divorce was finally granted in December 1990, but there was a catch. Ivana had to sign a non-disclosure agreement as a condition of the divorce settlement, and she was required to always seek Trump's permission before she could talk about their failed marriage publicly. Ivana was also granted a divorce settlement that included $14 million, a 45-room Connecticut mansion, an apartment in the Trump Plaza, and the use of Mar-a-Lago, a luxurious resort owned by Trump for 1 month a year. So when Trump decided to settle down with Marla, of course he made sure that he wouldn't have to go through something like that again, so he signed an extremely tight prenuptial agreement with Marla before they proceeded with the wedding. After some years, the details of the contract got leaked, and it was revealed that Trump reportedly agreed to pay Marla just $1 million if they separated within 5 years, plus another $1 million to buy a house. It may look like much, but in contrast, his first wife, Ivana, received more than $25 million in cash and assets. Now, here's where things get dicey. A few months after the couple's Plaza Hotel wedding, Marla suggested to Vanity Fair that she may have been pressured to sign the contract. In her words, the prenup was the big battle all along, and she only agreed to it with the belief she and her new husband would revisit the issue in the future. But they never did. This revelation by Marla created a buzz in the media, with many speculating that the very foundation of their marriage was faulty. Speaking about the matter, a celebrity divorce attorney told People magazine at the time, "I can't think of greater coercion than a woman having a baby in her belly and a man saying to her, 'I won't marry you unless you sign.' What's she supposed to do? If he handed her a laundry ticket, she'd probably sign it. Don't you think this agreement was enough to have Marla feeling some type of way? Especially when it was glaring that Trump was worried about her being with him for his money. This contract definitely did some damage to the foundation of their marriage. But that's not all the prenup details revealed. Apparently, it also stipulated that Trump would pay child support for their daughter, Tiffany Trump, until she was 21 years old, but would stop if Tiffany ever became employed full-time, joined the military, or joined the Peace Corps. Speaking about their daughter, Tiffany, do you know that the birth of Tiffany was a major deciding factor in Trump's decision to marry Marla? It was shortly after Marla gave birth to Tiffany that Trump popped the marriage question, and they got married. Marla also claimed that it was the 1993 Long Island Railroad tragedy, on December 7, that made him re-evaluate his life and what truly mattered to him, and that was when he proposed. While this seems romantic, the events leading up to the birth of Tiffany are far from romantic. Apparently, when Trump learned that Marla was pregnant with Tiffany, his first words were, "Excuse me, what happened?" In an interview on The Howard Stern Show, Trump spoke about his reaction to the pregnancy news. He said, "I'm glad it happened. I have a great little daughter, Tiffany. But, you know, at the time it was like, excuse me, what happened? I didn't know about this. And then I said, well, what are we going to do about this?" It was when Marla said to him, "You serious? It's the most beautiful day of our lives," that he finally replied with an unenthusiastic, "Oh, great." As you can already imagine, this wasn't the most pleasant thing for Marla to hear, and it was just proof that at that particular moment, Trump probably wasn't thinking about children and marriage. While these are some of the minor factors that led to the collapse of their marriage, there are several other major and far more shocking things that ruined Marla and Trump's happily ever after. Major factors that ended the marriage. Well, Marla has actually revealed that the major reason why their marriage ended was because she and Trump were two different people entirely, and at some point, their values stopped aligning. Keep in mind that Marla and Trump had a 17-year age gap between them and were from completely different backgrounds. On one hand, Trump was born and raised in Queens, New York, into a wealthy and ambitious family. His father, Fred, was a successful real estate developer, and he raised Trump in an environment where business acumen, competition, and winning were emphasized. Of course, this only shaped Trump's drive for success and his pursuit of power and wealth. However, on the other hand, Marla was raised in Cohutta, a small rural town in Georgia, in a super modest and religious household. Marla was raised with values like faith, kindness, and community, and when compared to Trump's materialistic and transactional mindset, they were complete opposites. The problem wasn't just about their upbringing, their differences eventually led to them having two different priorities, and according to Marla, it ruined everything. She said, "Donald and I came from two completely different worlds. I wanted a partner who could truly see me and support me emotionally. But Donald was often preoccupied with his empire, his image, and his ambitions. It became clear that we were living parallel lives, not a shared one. While I valued connection, authenticity, and spiritual growth, Donald's world was dominated by power, business, and a drive for public success. The stark difference in their life goals was glaring, and it played a huge role in their eventual separation. Trump's primary focus at that time was his business empire, and his ambition left little room for compromise or shared pursuits. He had already experienced the demands of marriage and fatherhood with his first wife, Ivana, and while he cared for his children, his professional life always came first. Apparently, this made Marla very frustrated in the marriage, and she often felt isolated and misunderstood. According to her, they came to the decision of going their separate ways after years of enduring this problem. In a marriage, couples hope they can bring out the best in each other, but after many years together, Marla said they both realized they weren't doing that for each other. Marla and Trump separated in 1997, and their divorce was finalized in 1999. In an interview, Marla spoke further on why the marriage ended. She said, "It could get a little bit combative, as you could have imagined, because I came in with George family values and a strong sense of spiritual growth. Always wanted to be the best I can, and he came with his positive ability to see the world, make money, and get out there." When asked what she found in Trump that made her like him, she said she fell in love because she could sense his vulnerability. And due to this singular factor, when they met, there was an instant connection, and it felt like they had known each other or like they were family. Another reason why Marla insists their marriage collapsed was due to the fact that although she saw some warning signs about their different personalities and values, she felt like she could do something to change him. After the divorce concluded, she revealed that girls in their 20s always want to change the man they are with and make him a little softer. And although she was like that initially, she eventually learned how to speak out stronger for what she believes in and express them. But this difference in values was not the only factor that led to the end of Trump and Marla's marriage. Something extremely controversial happened shortly before they separated, and rumors have it that this incident is tied to their decision to separate. Rumors and controversies. There were several rumors and controversies that also added fuel to the fire. One of the most talked about controversies during Donald Trump and Marla Maples' marriage involved rumors about Marla being caught with one of Trump's bodyguards. In 1996, reports surfaced that a security guard had allegedly found Marla and a bodyguard together on the beach during a trip to Mar-a-Lago, Trump's private Florida estate. Here's how it happened. It was 4 a.m. and the beach was deserted when a police officer on duty allegedly found Marla underneath a lifeguard stand in the company of another man. According to the police incident report, which was dated April 16, 1996, the man found with her was identified as a bodyguard, Spencer Wagner. Apparently, initially when he was found, he told the cop that he was alone on the beach. However, a woman suddenly emerged from the shadows, and after questioning, she identified herself as Marla Maples, Trump's wife. As you can imagine, when the story broke, it caused Marla great embarrassment. The media covered the story widely. It was on the front pages of different newspapers and the trending topic for television shows. Of course, both Marla and Trump consistently denied the allegations. Marla claimed that it was a misunderstanding and she was simply taking a bathroom break on the beach at the time the police officer showed up. The bodyguard, Wagner, also initially claimed there was no romance between him and Maples and that it was simply a misunderstanding. Now here's the part that got everyone confused. For months after this incident, Trump fired Wagner. When the news broke, it shocked everyone. People were left wondering. Why was he fired, and was he truly innocent like he had initially claimed? To everyone's surprise, after he was fired, Wagner changed his story. He told a tabloid newspaper he and Marla had actually been making out on the beach when they were caught. As a matter of fact, his words were, "Our passion boiled over, and we made love." However, Wagner's ex-wife, Mary Miller, says in private conversations, he always insisted that he never cheated with Marla. In fact, Miller told newsmen that her ex-husband had told her that Marla was simply out of control and that was why they became so close. Miller also claimed that Wagner had told her that sometimes, Marla would try to pull him into a bedroom in the house, and she was aggressive about it. That's not all, she said. Wagner also told her that Marla loved to party way too much, and whenever she came to the Florida estate, she would party a lot. Unfortunately, the whole controversy took a terrible toll on Wagner. Besides being in the news for his affair, he claimed he was unable to find work after Trump threw him out, and this left him hurt. His ex-wife Miller also claimed that the negative press and the lack of employment crushed him, and on January 1, 2012, he passed away due to a substance overdose. Miller said, "He's just not that kind of guy. He's not. He's not a sleazy guy." And because of this, he never really recovered from the scandal. The drama didn't end there, because the following year after the incident, Trump and Marla officially separated, and 2 years later, they got divorced. Rumors had it that despite her denial, Trump was reportedly furious about the publicity, and this caused a great strain on their marriage. It also allegedly added to ongoing trust issues between them. These trust issues were actually worsened by a number of factors. For one, the fact that Trump and Marla began their relationship while he was still married to his first wife, Ivana, only caused troubles. The media became very curious about their marriage to see if it would stand the test of time. As you already know, starting a relationship with a foundation of betrayal casts doubts on loyalty, and many speculated whether either Trump or Marla could truly stay faithful to each other. To make matters worse, Trump was known for his playboy reputation and frequent socializing, and because he was often seen with other women, this led to consistent speculation of extramarital affairs, which became tiring for both parties at some point. After the marriage ended, Marla largely stepped out of the spotlight to focus on raising their daughter, Tiffany. She also pursued various projects, including acting, hosting television shows, and promoting wellness and spirituality. Marla has spoken fondly of her role as a mother, often describing her relationship with Tiffany as the most important part of her life. Trump, on the other hand, continued to build his business empire and expand his brand, and in 2005, he married Melania Naus, a Slovenian model, with whom he has a son, Baron. At the end of the day, it's quite evident that Marla and Trump's marriage ended due to a combination of infidelity rumors, public scrutiny, and their mismatched priorities. Why do you think the marriage between Marla Maples and Donald Trump ended? Tell us in the comment section below. Don't forget to click on the next video on your screen, like this video, and subscribe to our channel for more updates.